Local children's book author is working to regain his voice after being injured in a car crash.
Leah Durain shows us how he's determined to keep sharing his stories.
He loved to play this wonderful game called basketball.
It may be a whisper, but for Sam E. Bromley, speaking is a victory. The New Braunfels author is gaining strength every day and won't let injuries from a near-fatal car crash keep him from his new mission in life.
He was so full of energy and was fit and trim like Grunka-Dunka-Donkey. Well, it's very, very important that you lay a good foundation for children to learn from and to cope around in the world around them.
Bromley is a husband and father. He's flown helicopters, worked overseas, been a firefighter, and a special needs teacher. He's buried 2 children and lost a close work friend. One night in Iraq, while grieving his friend, Bromley picked up the popular book, A Purpose-Driven Life.
Chapter 2 is about what did you do in your past that you really love doing. And as I sat down on the notebook and started writing.
Bromley self-published Hunka Chunka Monkey Shapes Up 7 years ago. Since then, he's enchanted 50,000 children with his stories during visits to schools in and out of state. An interactive reading and lesson on staying fit, being kind, patient, and gentle, he hopes will leave a lasting impression.
I have seen the faces of the children, and I've heard their deep belly laughs. And I know for a fact I've got a series that will affect change in the children in your community.
While the car crash in December shifted his focus to healing, Bromley is now ready to use his recent challenge as another lesson on overcoming. Leah Durain, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.
Bromley's working on an entire children's book series. You can find out more about his books and his group presentations by finding their story on KENS5.com.